Hey everyone, just to let you know, we'll be starting our live Facebook interview with Miss Cheryl Hamilton in about 10 minutes. We are just getting on here early just to get set up and ready to go. So if you are watching this after the event, you may want to fast forward the video for about 10 minutes because we're just going to be getting all our technical issues settled and um, handled, and we won't be starting our interview until 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, which is in about 8 minutes. So, again, if you're watching this from the taped version, then you can fast forward about 8 to 10 minutes through all this chatting as we get set up and logged on. We will be doing a live Facebook interview with Miss Cheryl Hamilton, and she's going to be responding to questions that were submitted by coaches and judges regarding the JO Women's Program. And she is nice enough to offer to do that for us. And so we're just going to be getting set up and ready to go. And once Miss Hamilton gets on, she and I are just going to be chatting for a while until everybody gets on and we begin the live Facebook interview at about 8 p.m., which again now is about 7 minutes away. So if you're on early, just hang out and watch us. Otherwise, go ahead and fast forward and we will get started soon. So I'm just waiting for Miss Cheryl Hamilton to get on here. And once she does, we will begin our interview. And while we're waiting, I am going to go ahead and get some things organized and set up. So again, if you're watching this, just go ahead and hang out with us for a little bit and we will eventually get started. Again, if anybody's just logging on, we are getting everything set up and organized for our live Facebook interview with Cheryl Hamilton, the National Technical Committee Chair for the JO Women's Program at USA Gymnastics. And so go ahead and hang out and we will get going in a few minutes. Good evening, everyone. We are, again, just to review if anybody's coming on, getting everything set up and organized for our live Facebook interview with Ms. Cheryl Hamilton, the National Technical Committee Chair for the JO Women's Program for levels 6 through 10. We are working through some technical setup, and so if you want to just hang out with us, you can do that because the interview doesn't start for another 5 minutes. If you're watching the interview after the fact and you're watching the taped version, you can probably fast forward 5 minutes to the beginning of the interview. If you're just joining us, as I said, we are waiting to get through some technical setup and waiting for Michelle Hamilton to join us on our live Facebook interview, which starts in about 4 minutes. We're setting up all our technical things, and we will start very shortly. So just give us a couple minutes and we will be on our way. As I said, everyone, we're just waiting for Miss Cheryl Hamilton to join our interview. And as soon as she does, we will get her logged on and all our technical stuff set up and organized. And we will begin our interview in about 3 minutes with Miss Cheryl Hamilton. So we're just working through some technical issues right now, so just give us a couple of minutes and we will get going with our interview. And it seems that Cheryl Hamilton's having a little bit of a problem logging on, which is fine. We will work through that. And as soon as she gets logged on, we will begin the interview. And if for any reason we can't get her on, we will, let's see, here we go. And let's add Miss Cheryl Hamilton. And we should get going soon.
Is that it?
Yeah.
It worked.
How are you doing? It did work.
Yeah, I'm glad it did.
I know, me too. Those of you that were watching, we did a test run yesterday, and it took us about 40 minutes to finally figure out all the little glitches that we had with getting Cheryl on here and going. But you know what? We did it, and we're here, and I'm excited. We're going to be starting in about 1 minute, but I have one quick question for Cheryl. Hopefully, Claudia is not watching because I'm really embarrassed to ask you this question. But I'm doing an interview with Claudia, the National Excel Committee Chair. How do you say Claudia's last name? Is it Kretschmer?
Kressmeyer.
I could never. Kretschmeyer. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to embarrass myself when I'm with her.
No, that's fine. Kressmeyer.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Claudia Kressmeyer.
Cool. Let's see. Julie Fabsick Swartz, I guess, knows you. She says, "Go, Cheryl."
Oh. Okay.
So we're going to wait 1 more minute to actually go ahead and start this. And what I did, Cheryl, is just as we're getting set up and ready to go, I printed out the questions at my end. And then, so what I'm going to do is when we get ready to start, I'll introduce you, kind of give everybody a little bit of background of who you are, both related to USA Gymnastics, but also you as the judge. And then we'll go ahead and start the questions. And I'll just kind of start from the top, with Vault, read the question, and then you can go ahead and respond. If you see me kind of looking down, I'm going to be taking some notes because I've been asked to kind of create like a transcript of this so that actually for here in Florida, so that we can kind of send some of this information out to some of our judges who have actually submitted some of these questions. So I'm going to try to do my best to kind of do a transcript as we're going through this. I might actually have to rewatch this whole thing after the fact and then get going with it. But so let's do this. I am one for promptness, and so we're going to actually go ahead and start. So let me introduce everybody to Miss Cheryl Hamilton. And let me first, I have all these pop-ups coming up on my phone now. Let me first let everybody know we are doing a live Facebook interview with Miss Cheryl Hamilton, and I'm going to introduce her in a couple minutes. And we're going to be talking about rules, policies, ins and outs of the JO Women's Program, and basically going to be answering questions that coaches and judges have submitted to Gym Blog Central for Cheryl to answer. And she was absolutely gracious enough to go ahead and answer those questions, and especially for the fact, and we're going to get into this in a second, with her monster crazy travel schedule she just got off of. So let me introduce her. This is Miss Cheryl Hamilton. Cheryl is the National Technical Committee Chair for the JO Women's Program, specifically for level 6 through 10. She and her committee are the ones who make up the testing for our national rated and brevet rated judges. And she also creates the base scoring, her and her committee, for states and nationals. And for those of you that are not quite sure what that actually means, before a state championship, a state championship, regional championship, or national championship, judges who are actually at that event will get together. So all the beam judges at level 10 nationals will get together. All the floor judges, bar judges, and ball judges will get together, and they'll watch a video and they'll do some practice judging. And so that everybody can kind of get on track of where their minds are when they're evaluating a routine. And Cheryl and her committee are the ones who actually create those videos and create those base scores for then the judges to use to evaluate routines. She and her committee write and proof the JO Code of Points, and that's that red binder that most optional coaches have. So Cheryl and her committee are the ones that create that and proof that. And then her committee does anything and everything related to judging. So she's got a large responsibility there. She is a international brevet judge, which means she is like the it of judges. She has judged probably more national championships than I have fingers and toes. She just got back, and this is why I mentioned earlier about her crazy travel schedule. She was just over in Baku, and did I say that right? Baku?
Yeah, Baku.
Baku. Yeah, and Doha, judging the World Cups. And actually, if you watch them, you'll actually see her off on the side judging. She has the great privilege to attend our national training camps with our national team, and she kind of helps our coaches by evaluating skills, skill combinations, routines, and kind of educates the coaches on what may or may not be working or where the deductions are coming from. And as I said, she's judged numerous national championships. She was just overseas doing World Cups. She's judged numerous World Championships and numerous Olympics. And if you want a little bit more information about Miss Cheryl Hamilton, we did, I'm a little biased on this, but we did a really great interview on my blog with her. And if you go to gymblogcentral.com and you do a search for Cheryl Hamilton, her interview will come up, and then you can learn a little bit more about her. So did I get everything? Did I?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, good. And Cheryl is the judge of the judges, as I said, and as a judge, or any judges out there, she's the one we want to aspire to be. So she's the it girl for the judges. So now that I embarrassed her, and we will go ahead and start. So as I said, we're going to start with vault, and all these questions were submitted by our coaches and judges from around the country. And the first one is referring to level 2-3 vault. And the question says, deductions read, if both hands land beyond the tape line, it's up to 5/10 deduction. It's a flat 5/10 deduction. So is that defined as any part of the hand, even fingertips, going over the line, or is it the entire hand? So how do we evaluate that? Are we looking fingers, are we looking entire hand, or what?
It's the same thing as if you were doing it on floor exercise. Any part of the hand that goes over the line, then the deduction is taken. I don't care whether it's a fingertip or the whole hand, you still take the deduction for any part of the hand.
Okay, so for coaches, on the resume, you have level 2-3 athletes, and they're doing their vault in any part of their hand. Fingernails, fingertips, whole hand goes over that yellow line, it's out of bounds. If it's on the line but not over, you're good to go. But as soon as it goes over, and then you apply that 5/10 deduction. All right, perfect. All right, so now we're getting into our new level 6-7 vault, and we're talking about our landing. Is the expectation for the athlete to land upright with arms by ears prior to falling to their back if they choose to do that? And I think that is clarified in there, but we're going to continue on. We're seeing a lot of athletes fall to their backs, which we know is fine, and judging stops when their feet hit the mat. But many athletes seem to be forfeiting good landing posture in order to get to the fall. As a judge, what ideal are we looking for in the body shape of the landing, and how do we deduct accordingly?
What you're looking for is once the gymnast's feet hit the mat, you want the arms up. You also want to see a hollow body position. You don't want to see a pike. It's a hollow body position. We do have the deduction of 5 to 10, up to 5/10 for landing position upon landing. So once they land, if they're piked as opposed to hollow, if they're bent over and piked at the hips, then you would take the up to 5/10 deduction, depending on how severe it is. What you want to see in these vaults, especially in the Sukahara and the Yurchenko vaults, is you want to evaluate whether the gymnast would be able to flip out of it. If they're able to, if you think that their execution of the vault enables them to do a flip, then they should be getting a good score.
Okay.
But
So that could also be reflected in their height deduction too?
yes, it's reflected in all of that. But once they land on the mat, you want the arms up and a hollow body position, and deduct accordingly for body position upon the landing. After the landing, after their feet have hit the mat, the evaluation is finished. You don't evaluate anything else. The feet hit the mat, are their arms up, and are they in a tight, hollow body position? Not in a
Okay.
pike position. Make sure that you don't get confused that between the hollow. The hollow is more in the chest as opposed to a bending in the hips.
Okay, perfect. Continuing on with level 6-7 vault, if the athlete contacts the table but lands to the side of the mat and then onto the floor, would this be a void or directional error of up to 3/10 and or a fall included?
It would be an up to 3/10 directional error. We don't have anything written down that if the gymnast goes off the mat, misses the table, anything like that. So that is on the JO and the tech committee's agenda when we have the meeting in May. But right now, if you see that occur, you don't take the fall, you only take 3/10 for directional error.
Okay, perfect. And actually, this is one of my questions because I actually judged Excel this past weekend at a meet, and on vault, I noticed that for Excel Silver, when they're doing the half on vault, they have an up to 3/10 deduction for not passing through vertical on their half on the pre-flight side. So my question is, why is this not a deduction at the JO level?
We just didn't put it in there. Again, that's on the agenda for this May. I'm sure that it will go through and it will be applied mainly to the Sukahara entry, because that's when you see the children going around the side as opposed to the Yurchenko. So it's on the agenda. Look at the minutes when they come out in probably June, and you should see something in there because I'm sure that it will be added, because it is something that we do need to add. It just wasn't, I don't know, we missed it.
Right. Now, would this be 6 through 10? Possibly?
Yes, most likely it will be.
Okay.
I think we hit it. We see a lot of it though at the level 6-7 because it's still new for the gymnast.
Right.
So that's what we're noticing it a lot now. So
Right. Okay. Perfect. So, and do you think it'll be applied? And I know I'm kind of getting in areas that you probably can't answer, but I'm throwing it out there for when you go back to your committee meeting to discuss. Would it just be for flipping vaults, or do you think it would also be considered for twisting vaults on the post-flight side?
for failure to go through vertical
Yeah, on the half-on part.
on the half on part, I think we could consider it for the half on vaults as well. I mean, we don't see a lot of half on vaults right now.
No, but I mean for the Souk entries, it's say,
Oh,
we have a level 7, level 9 who's not going to, do a tough pike Souk, but instead she does a half. Would
yeah,
that?
I think that we could consider. I think that we would consider it for those vaults. Yes. I
Okay,
mean,
perfect.
we'll discuss it, and it seems to be a need for it. in order to
Yeah.
separate the athletes. So I don't think that there will be anyone opposed to it. I could be wrong, but I can't imagine that they would be.
Yeah, yeah. And here's another question. And actually, this popped in my head today watching because I was watching the most recent World Cup on TV. At the elite level, we have your tape lines on the vault landing mat for directional error.
Right.
We have that now. We have that deduction for up to 3/10 for directional error as it is, but we don't have the tape lines. Is that something that may be eventually incorporated, or we not there?
I don't think that we'll go that route with the age group gymnasts. I don't think we'll add the tape lines. We just apply the up to 3/10 if they're, depending on where they land on the mat. So,
Right.
but
Okay.
I don't think we will go the tape lines.
Okay. Okay. There's something that popped in my head while I was
Yeah, no,
watching
I don't
it.
think we'll go there.
Okay, perfect. Surprisingly, we got no bar questions submitted, which kind of shocked me a little bit. I would expected to have a lot, more bar questions than any of the other events, but
And
we
there
didn't
was
get
no
any.
bars. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna move on to beam,
Okay.
and we're gonna look at level two. And so it says in the lever, it's called a fingertip touch. So those of you that are out there in level two, they're supposed to show a lever position where they're basically in a T, and they should be moving in a straight line like this. I can. It's my best illustration I can give you. And their fingertips are supposed to touch the beam and they're supposed to come up. So, is there a deduction if the athlete puts a full palm down and pushes off the beam to stand up? Some judges are looking at this as a grasp and taking 3/10.
Well, I think what you have to do, you have to evaluate how much of a pushing action is she doing. If she puts her whole palm down and she's actually pushing off the beam in order to stand up, then I think you could take 3/10. If she's just
Okay.
putting her palm down and she's not really, you don't see her really pushing, then you
Mhm.
might take 1/10, 1.5. It just
Okay.
depends. You have to make a judgment as to how much she's really pushing.
So basically, we're looking at, for example, with our touch brush deductions or the actual, fall deduction, if it's light support, it could be up to 3/10, or if
Right.
it's a full. Okay, perfect. Okay,
Yeah.
that's explained it. So we just need to evaluate how much support is actually given and actually pushing action before we can take the
Yeah,
three
that's
ten.
just, you just have
Okay,
to make a judgment call, but I would
okay.
not go more than 3/10.
Okay. Okay. At the JO compulsory levels, why do we not see progressions towards more difficult dismounts? And was actually my question, and I'll tell you why I asked this. For example, why do we do handstand dismounts instead of dismounts off the end like a cartwheel or a straight jump? When I first started coaching back in the day, we had the branny off the end of the beam, and we
Hmm.
had the directions moving that way. With so many obviously optional athletes now going off the end of the beam, it's level 7 through elite. How come at the compulsory levels we don't see more of? I mean, or at okay, let me try that again. At the compulsory levels, why don't we see more progressionary towards end of the beam dismounts? Instead, we have the handstand quarter turn type stuff.
Okay, we did this, as you know, we did the compulsories a number of years ago. There was a couple of reasons why it was decided to do this. First of all, handstands are important. So we think that's a good basic skill for the younger gymnasts.
Mhm.
Also, in a lot of gyms, they don't have enough room to put a dismount mat at the end of the beam. So this was for training purposes that you can have gymnasts going off the side and you don't have to worry so much about having a dismount mat at the end. It was used to help those gyms that are smaller and don't have a whole lot of room and they're just working compulsories. So
Okay.
felt that that was the best way to go to
Okay.
accommodate a lot of the gymnasts and plus incorporate the handstands that are important. We are working on the new compulsories now,
Mhm.
and so we'll see what happens with them.
Well, since you brought it up, can we have any sneak peeks?
Okay, I don't really, Tom Cole has really been working on them and we're going to go over them. I did see them, but you know what? They're not, I don't remember what they were. I honestly, I
Okay.
don't, because he showed them to us in last May. And, I had too many other things on my plate that I wasn't
Sure,
worrying about
sure.
that.
I thought
So
I'd
I
ask
really
you.
can't remember.
Okay, perfect. So still on beam, we know that the split leap used to be an A on beam, but just this year, it started out that now the split leap has been increased in value to a B. So my question is, how come?
Well, it's a straight leg split leap. It's not a stag split. It's a
Mm-hmm.
definite straight leg brush. The reason that we changed it was because the FIG moved that skill to a B. And we felt that if they felt that it should be a B skill for the elite athletes, that we ought to at least give the same consideration to the JO athletes and give it a B. We have a split jump that's a B, and so we decided to go with the B for the split leap. There are some kids doing them, and usually I've found the ones that are doing them are the ones that have a good split leap.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the ones that, have minimal split, they're not really trying, or they're not getting credit for a B because there's too much bend. So
Right.
that's why we did it. The FIG did it, and we felt it was a good idea, and we had a B split jump, so we went to the split leap as a B.
Okay, yeah, and actually watching, like I said, watching the World Cups just recently, I saw a lot of combinations with split leaps to, either a sheep jump or, a yang bow or, something like that. So it was
Yeah,
interesting to
they
see.
are using them pretty much internationally. They're using them a lot of times, split leaps into acro skills, like a D acro skill, split leap
Mhm.
to a front arrow, and then they're getting bonus for that. So they are
Yeah,
using the split leap more because of the value.
yeah, I noticed that, and it actually, I like it, when it's performed well and done well.
Hmm.
So I'm kind of hoping that it does, now that we have it as a B, that athletes are going to see the value of it
Yeah,
because,
I hope so too. It's good
yeah.
training. It's really good training for all their leaps.
Yeah,
So
yeah, perfect, great. So, kind of sticking with leaps, there was a change in the evaluation of a switch leap, where before, if an athlete did not achieve 45 degree minimal 45 degrees with that front leg, they did not get value part for the switch leap. And we kind of took a step back now, and now we're giving, if the athlete doesn't achieve 45 degrees, they're still getting value part for the skill. What's the kind of the
again, one of the
flex?
reasons that we went that way was there was really two reasons. The first one was the FIG got rid of that also. And it's really a small error. A lot of gymnasts swing their leg forward. They have to swing it forward, whether it goes 45 or wherever it goes.
Mhm.
So for a small error like that of not swinging the leg to 45, to not give it the value seems very, very harsh. So we decided it makes sense that we just take off a tenth if it doesn't get to 45 degrees.
Okay.
And they still get the C value part. They still have to have the good split. If they don't have it show a good split, they're getting deducted there. And then they would also get deducted for failure to extend the leg to 45 degrees. So
Okay.
we just didn't want to take away a whole value of a C skill because of a
Right.
small error. And that's what it really is. It's a small
Right.
error.
And honestly, if you're performing a C leap like that, you're doing it well anyway.
Yes. Yeah.
It's so, and if you're not doing it well, there's going to be so many other added deductions that it's not even worth for you to do anyway.
Yeah. Yes.
Great.
So,
All
so
right.
I think
So
people are happy about that.
I think so too. And my initial first concern was, as a judge, I was thinking, oh, everybody and their mom is going to be chucking this skill now because it's a C
Mhm.
and they need a C, and they're going to do it. But I haven't seen any change. Like there aren't kids performing the skill who should not be. Is basically
Right,
what it is.
right. But there
They're
were
just not.
kids performing the skill before that should not be, and and they just didn't have a good split, and it was poorly done. The legs were bent or whatever.
Mhm.
Um, but we just don't want to take away a C skill because of the leg being at 44 degrees or 40.
Yeah.
We
Which,
just
and
don't want to do
honestly, too, from the judging aspect, it kind of gets, those of you that are watching that, are newer to gymnastics or are the gymnastics fan, judges always go by the benefit to the athlete.
that.
So if there's a
Yes.
slight question, did she or did she not receive 45 degrees? You always go to the benefit of the athlete because, we want the best for them. So as a judge, it kind of makes that fine line easier to evaluate because now I don't
Yeah,
have
it
to worry
really
about it.
does. It makes it a lot easier, and it's a small error, and take a small deduction, one up to one.
Right. Yeah. So now, since we've kind of talked about a couple of changes with Beam, and this kind of applies to both Beam and Floor, and I put the question under Beam, but it does apply to both. Those of you that are in the JO optional program know that we now have new compositional guidelines that we follow as judges when we evaluate level 8, 9, and 10 Beam, Floor, and bar routines. And we kind of have like a chart that we follow. You know, do they have enough C's in their tumbling passes? Do they have enough C's for their dance? But my question is, and it's kind of come up in a couple different spots here and there. And again, I know you can't get every combination possible. It's just it's impossible to do. But what do you do as a judge when you have a routine, but the skills that are performed don't quite fit in the charts
Into the
somewhere?
formula.
Yeah.
You will run into that. And we knew that that would happen because, like you said, we could not make a formula for every single scenario. And what I usually do, I look at the skills, like if I'm looking for gymnastics, dance, the 3 dance, like for level 10, you know, you get, if you have 3 C's, you don't get any deductions, so on and so forth. But if I'm looking for something, if I see a routine that doesn't fit into the formula, I look at what skills are performed. If they're doing, say 2 of the same skills or the same route, then I might take a little bit more. If she shows a variety and it does, and I don't have a formula, then I'm probably going to take a half a tenth less. So it's just, we're judges, we have to make evaluations, but I use that as a guideline to look and see what skills are performed. And, you know, if I can separate in some way, you know, by that way, if they're showing more variety as opposed to doing the same skill twice or the same root skill, then I feel that it's one way to do it. And you know what? One judge might take one might take 1.5, and you're only going to be 0.5. If that's the only difference you have in the routine, that's
Right.
not that bad. And again, we're judges. It's judgment calls as to what you want to see, just like we evaluate artistry and everything. They're judgment calls. And so sometimes you just have to use good judgment to see how to separate the athletes. But I look for the variety of the skills, and it seems to help, you know, help.
Well, and I think that falls into also, you know, what's best going to what will best benefit the athlete. So you have the athlete who goes CBD. Yeah, she has 1 C, but she has that B and the D. Well, you know, she performed a D. You know, so
Yeah. I
that
mean, like
D
if I
kind of
see a
bumps
switch
that
leg
B up to
leap,
the C.
if I see a switch leg leap, a switch half, and a straddle jump, you know, I don't think that's bad. That's switch leg leap, switch half, and the straddle jump. Or if I see a switch leg leap, then maybe a sheep, and then maybe a B split leap. You know, they're different. They're not from
Hmm.
the same root skill, and they're different. So I give more credibility to that than if the gymnast say did switch leap, switch half, and then some other, you know, little A
Yeah,
skill. So that's what I
right.
try to look at.
Okay, perfect.
But we
Um,
did this knowing we did it, and I think people have liked it because it gives them at least a guideline, and it
mhm,
gives the coaches a guideline. Because
mhm.
before it was one judge would take 2/10, one judge would take 0.5. At least this way, it's a start. We're going to be discussing again at our technical committee meeting to see if we want to make any adjustments to this or any changes to it at the meeting in May. But so far, everyone has seemed to like it. So,
Yeah, I can tell you, it's definitely made my decision making a little bit easier, or my
mhm,
judgment call.
yes,
Because like you said, I mean, earlier, I mean, it is subjective. Gymnastics is subjective. We're human
yes,
beings. You know, everybody has their own preferences, even though we're supposed to be kind of using guidelines to follow, but having these charts or saying this is what you should have, you know, the minimum of what
hmm,
you should have definitely helps the process a little bit easier. And I can only imagine it probably makes coaching so much easier as well. So,
right, it
you
does.
know,
And that's the ideal. But there are some cases that you have to think outside the box and just use your judgment when we don't have an exact formula.
right, right. Perfect. All right, so let's move on the floor. And as I said, some of the questions that were on beam apply to floor, but these are kind of specific. And this was actually brought up this past weekend at the meet I was at, and it's a scenario. So an athlete salutes the judge, walks out onto the floor, gets in her beginning position. The music stops, and so does the athlete. But then all of a sudden, the coach just immediately stops the athlete and has the music restart to begin again without the judge's approval. What does the judge do?
Well, first of all, I asked the question, why was the coach stopping the music? Was it the wrong music? Was it the wrong version? I mean, why would the coach stop that? I mean,
I think,
is this a
yeah,
hypothetical thing or did it really happen?
I think the scenario, I think it happened. And I think the scenario is the coach thought the music started after the beat of where like that the that the athlete was supposed to listen for, not the initial chime, but I think
Okay.
like the first beat of the music. And I'm thinking that the coach thought the athlete didn't hear it, so she thought the athlete started at the wrong spot and then said, "Oh, no, wait, let's start all over again so you can start at the right time." I think that's the scenario that happened.
Because this sometimes happen when they have the wrong version coming on,
Mm-hmm.
or the gymnasts, they have like sometimes they have beeps and things like that that indicate when they should start, but maybe there was a loud roar of applause for somebody. Honestly, if that happened, I probably would not do anything. I would
Mm-hmm.
just say, okay, the music was not correct, and just let it go, because I don't I can't see where it fit into any of the deductions. I would just not take anything.
Right. Sorry, I lost you.
Oh, yeah, I lost you. Okay. So did you
Yeah,
hear
a
my
pop-up
last
came
answer?
on
I
my.
give the benefit to the athlete and not take anything.
Okay, perfect. So what do you do as a judge when skills are, we talked about that when it doesn't
Yeah,
fit
it's
into
the
the
same
stuff.
kind of principle. You just kind of think outside the box and just try to think about the variety, and that might help.
Okay, perfect. All right, so now we've kind of covered all of our event-specific deductions or our event-specific scenarios. And these are kind of some other questions that didn't fit into a specific event. So there seems to be, there's some amount of confusion when it comes down to break time. Um, and those of you that are out there, just kind of give some history on this for coaches or fans. Judges get paid an hourly rate, and previous to this new year, a, a judge's time was evaluated using, how long were they in the gym, how long were they actually judging, what's the difference, and that's the amount of break time that they get. Now, what we do is we look at, did we get half-hour breaks? And if we got half-hour breaks, then we have to deduct an hour from our total day. If we did not get the half-hour breaks, we get paid for the entire day. So does that kind of give people some history of what we're talking about here? So example one, like looking for some clarification, example one says, our first break is 30 minutes, but we did not get a meal. Break two is only 20 minutes, but we got lunch. Break three, 30 minutes and no meal. So we got 2 30 minutes, no meal with those 2 30 minutes. We had 120 with a meal. So the meet ends at 5 p.m. on day one and ends on 7:30 p.m. on day two. How much time do we deduct each day?
Well, you deduct, okay, the first day you did get two 30-minute breaks and you got a 20-minute break.
Mm-hmm.
So you just would deduct 1 hour because you got two 30-minute breaks. And we have changed the RMP. It used to say a break with a meal. Well, sometimes you don't need another meal. Like you might have a break at 12 o'clock and get a meal, and then you have a break at 2 o'clock. You don't necessarily have to have another meal. So we've taken out the wording with a meal. What you do is, as long as you have two 30-minute breaks, you have an hour break total at least, then you just take off the 1 hour. 30, 20, 30, you've had two 30 minutes, just take off 30 minutes. Take off an hour, I'm sorry, 1 hour.
Okay, perfect. So meals have nothing to do with it. As long as you got your 2 30 minutes, you take off your hour and you're done deal.
Yes,
Okay,
yes, yeah.
perfect.
Because you have a break and you don't get fed at every single meal, doesn't mean that the break is not sufficient. You
Okay.
just have to have two 30-minute breaks.
Okay, perfect. And then the other scenario that was given, your first break is 30, and I'm going to kind of now I don't even know if this is actually relevant anymore, but I'm going to kind of read it the way it was submitted to us now that you've kind of
Okay.
made some clarification. So break one, you got your 30 minutes, no meal. Break two, 30 minutes, you got your lunch. So break three and four are 20 minutes each, and dinner was provided in one of those. How do you break it down? Now, let me see if I can actually do this, and you tell me if I'm wrong. We're taking out meals, doesn't matter. You got a meal, you didn't get a meal, who
Right.
cares? So you got two 30-minute breaks and two 20-minute breaks. You did not get your third 30-minute, so you don't get your hour?
No, you just take off an hour. You just take
Oh, you
1 hour
got
and
your
that's
two
it.
30-minute breaks.
You got two 30-minute breaks, so you take off 1 hour.
Okay. So if you only got one 30-minute break during the day and nothing, you only got like 10 and 15 minutes
Like if
during the
you
night.
had 3 sessions, say you had 4 sessions, and
Mhm.
you had between the first session and the second session, you had 20 minutes. Then between the second and the third, you had 30 minutes. You don't have two 30-minute breaks, so you get paid from when you start.
Perfect. Okay. Which kind of makes sense. Meals are out of the question. Don't even bother with meals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't think about because you have a break that you have to be fed. God
Right.
forbid that we get fed on every break.
Yeah. I eat more on judging weekends than I do
I
all week
know. I
anyway.
think we all do.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. So just we're going to clarify for whoever's going on listening in out there, you get two 30-minute breaks, you deduct an hour from your total day and you're good to go. You
Yep.
get one 30-minute break or no 30-minute breaks, you get paid for your entire day.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yep.
Okay. I think
That
that
makes it
clarifies it.
easy.
Yep. All right, so let's move on. Do you see in the future level 9 and level 10 transitioning to a more open scoring system like the FIG?
I don't think that's going to happen. The age group committee is very happy the way the age group program is moving along. Then we also have the Excel program for those gymnasts that don't fit into the age group program. So I don't think that they're going to make that leap. I brought it up before, believe me, it'd make it easier for me, but I brought it up before and they don't want to go that route. So I think
Okay.
it's a moot point. I think we're going to stay with the system that we have right now for the age group program with some modifications.
Okay. Okay. Um, let's see. We talked about this again. This kind of was another question that was submitted about the compositional chart. I think we talked about that.
Yeah.
You go give the best benefit to the athlete. You look at the root skills, look at the variety of skills,
Yeah.
and then you go from there. Okay. Another scenario for you: a gymnast. Okay, a gymnast salutes to begin the routine, and then the coach stops to adjust matting or equipment. So judge salutes, athlete salutes, coach says, "Oh, hold on a second." Adjusts matting, adjusts coating, matting, adjusts equipment. But that whole adjustment process takes over 30 seconds. Do we take the 2-10 deduction for failure to begin exercise within 30 seconds of being saluted?
What I would do is if that happened, I would tell my timer, start timing. Once the coach says, wait a minute, why he's adjusting that, so on and so forth. And I would tell my timer to tell him, okay, you have 10 seconds left to begin the routine or whatever. If that doesn't occur, then you would take the 2-10s for not starting within 30 seconds.
Okay.
I mean, once the gymnast salutes, she's really ready to go. And the coach, if he's adjusting, I'm sorry, give her the 30 seconds, but warn him that he better hurry up.
Okay. Okay. And
And if
this
not,
other
take the
question,
2-10s.
right? Yeah, this other question kind of falls in because I think the conversation had come up in the judging room was that some of these deductions that we take, like the neutral deductions that we take on the chief judge deductions that we take on the athletes, are really not the fault of the athlete. It's more of the coach, and it's like, well, it should be fair that we take the deduction for the off the athlete, or should be taken off the team. So that's where this question and the next question kind of came up in conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the poor athlete's going to get deducted for something she had nothing to do with.
Well, the only time we really have a team score is at JO Nationals. Well, I mean, like
Well, at
invitationals.
invitationals, they do, like they'll do team competitions at
At
invitationals.
invitationals, they do that, but that's not really. I mean, they do that because that's the format that they're using.
Mhm.
But in this particular case, I understand that it's not fair to take it off the one athlete because the coach is not adjusted. But that's the way the rule is, and so we have to apply it that way. I mean, there's a lot of rules that because the coach he didn't remove the board.
Mhm.
Okay, so we take it off that routine. We don't take it off the team. So that's the
Mhm.
same type of thing.
Right. And I think I'm probably going to get the same response. And talking about Claudia just joined us. And we're going to be talking
Oh,
about you in a second, Claudia. And so this question kind of falls into the same in line of thought is that, is it fair to take 2/10 from an athlete who has any part of her bra showing when it's obviously due to a poorly designed leotard by the club? Should it be taken from the team score and not the athlete?
Yeah, I'll tell you, this has been the worst year as far as attire goes. Between what's backless, what's not backless, what happens if there's a clear bra strap showing, what happens if this is happening. We're going to try to be a little more definitive as to what is backless, what is not backless. If she has a slight bra strap showing, really, I don't think it's necessary to take a deduction for that. You know, what you would do is you would warn her first anyway. So
Right.
you warn her, and what's she going to do? She can't, unless she could change the leotard, I guess, to make it so that nothing shows. But
Yeah.
I think, that we get a little overzealous with some of this. I mean, I understand if it's backless and it's pure backless, then you warn them first, then take the deduction. But
Yeah.
if she has just a small part of her bra strap showing, really, I don't think we need to take that.
Yeah. And, and honestly, a large majority of us kind of think the same way. It's like, benefit to the athlete. It's
Yes.
not necessary. I think it's just, you get the individuals who are like, this is what it says. This is what I'm
I
going to
know.
do.
I mean, I might tell
Unless
the
it's
coach,
obviously blatant.
I might tell the coach, try to get the leotard to fit a little better. Or maybe you could suggest to your gymnast to get a clear bra strap
Mm-hmm.
so that it doesn't show. You could make that suggestion. I don't think that would be out of line. But I just don't want us to get so hung up on at one point in time the bra strap shows and then it doesn't show again, and
Mm-hmm.
to take the deduction. I think that we need to be looking at the athlete's performance as opposed to what's happening with her
Entirely.
leotard.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually, let me ask you this question because I don't know the answer to this. At the JO level, we do have, it has to be one post, in each year.
Yes.
But when you watch elite level gymnastics, and sorry, Simone Biles, I love you with all my heart, but when you've got studs everywhere, is the ruling the same at the
No,
FIG?
it's allowed.
Okay.
It's allowed at the FIG level. I
Okay.
agree with you. When I see them out there with all those studs and all that all through their ears, it drives me crazy. But it is allowed at the elite level, so there's no deduction taken. We have it at the age group level because we think it's more or less a safety issue.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it was funny because, again, we're in the judges' room, we're talking, and,
Mm-hmm.
you have American Cup and all these big meets coming on. And as, JO judges were like, what is going on? Why is nobody taking these deductions? Why is nobody informing this athlete that they need to take out these earrings? And, that's why, because we had no
Because they're
idea.
allowed. They can wear as many as they want. And it was funny, when I was at Worlds, I suggested to Simone that maybe did she really need to wear all those earrings? And she said she likes to wear all those earrings and she's wearing them. So
Hey, she's allowed.
it's allowed.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I have 800 million more questions for you that are probably going to bore people or probably not. Cause like this, at the FIG level, we don't know, so we look at it from that perspective going, wow, the only kind of snippet I do want to say is, which as a judge, I kind of went, when I saw this, as a judge, we're always told that, you need to be partial. You can't show favoritism. You can't really be high-fiving an athlete. You can't really be,
Yeah.
going up and hugging a coach. But when you get so familiar with people and you see them day after day, it's kind of what you do. But I was watching. What was the first World Cup you just recently did? Was it?
It was
Uh,
Baku.
it was Bucket.
Baku was the individual event World Cup. And then
Okay.
I went on to Birmingham, which was an all around
Okay.
World
So
Cup.
it was the first one. It was Baku, and the camera angle was from the other side of the floor. So the angle was looking across the floor, and you guys, the judges, were on the other side. And this athlete was tumbling into a corner closest to you guys.
Uh-huh.
And, whatever she was doing, she did. And, and clear as day, here's this judge. She's watching. The athlete does whatever she does. She starts clapping for the athlete when she landed, looks down, picks up her pen, and starts judging again. And I was like,
This was
oh
on the
my God.
panel?
Yeah, she was sitting alongside with you guys. She was towards the end. Like if you're looking at the floor at this angle, she was on the far left, like looking at it. So if you're on the panel and you're looking at the floor, it would have been on your right. And I could swear she was a judge because she was in blue uniform.
Okay.
And judge did whatever athlete did she whatever she did. She landed. She clapped, looked down, looked like she picked up her pen, and she kept going. And I was like, oh my
Oh my God.
god. Like, did that just seriously? Now she may not have been a judge. Let's like what we do with the athletes. Let's give her the benefit of the doubt. But I was
Yeah.
just like, wow, because
Probably
because
if she was, she should not have done that.
oh yeah. I was like, here we go, ice skating issues, with favoritism
Yeah,
and
yeah. Yeah, no, she should not have done that.
yeah, yeah. Well, that is all the questions that we have submitted, and that I think, I should probably ask. Like I said, I have a whole lot more for you, but, I just, thank you so, so much for doing this. I know it was last minute kind of doing this. I know you've been having a crazy travel schedule. You just actually, let me kind of tell everybody, you left at the beginning of March. Well, actually, you were on vacation. You were,
Well, at first I was at camp, and then
yeah.
from camp I went directly on vacation, and then I was home one day and then gone for 2 weeks. So I was essentially gone like over a month
Yeah,
with one
and
day
but
in between.
when she says she came back Sunday night or
Yes,
Sunday.
yes,
She and
night.
I were in contact Monday with final questions. We then did a run through this on Tuesday, and here she is Wednesday night. So we need to probably go crash and catch some sleep. And are you home for a while?
Yeah, I have my regional meet April 11th and 12th, 10th and 11th, and then I go to camp in May, and then there's JOs. So I'm home for 2 weeks, maybe week and a
Hey,
half.
and again, I'm maybe going to ask you a question that you may not be able to answer, but talking about camping coming up, I know Junior Worlds is coming up. Are we participating at Junior Worlds?
I think we are. I think we are. That's in Poland, I think. Yeah, we
Yeah,
are.
excellent. And do you think this is something that's going to, well, because again, this is something that came up actually in the break room at one of our meets, is that our poor JO athletes are training so hard and so long for very little competition per se, little competition in spotlight. I think this is an amazing opportunity for them to actually be out on the world stage, be at a high level competition, gaining experience and exposure before they hit the elite scene. I mean, I could be totally wrong on that, but I think this is great exposure for them.
But we have a lot of junior athletes at the elite level that have had no exposure and no experience. So
Yeah.
we will have our junior elite athletes go to that.
Yeah. And I think that's amazing because they need that experience before they're
Yeah,
thrown
yeah.
on to
We
the
have some
world
good
scene.
little juniors, and so there will be some
Yeah,
juniors
we
go.
do. Yeah, I think that's exciting. That's going to be a crazy camp because you're going to have not only the seniors there, but you're going to have the juniors there, and
Yeah.
they'll
Well,
kind
we've
of
had the
yeah.
juniors and seniors at camp in the last couple camps anyway.
Oh, nice, good.
Yeah.
That's
So
great exposure for them to see the
yeah, we
older girls.
usually have
And
juniors and seniors both because we have people that are on the junior national team, and then we have juniors that have been invited, and then we
perfect.
have our senior national team.
Perfect. Cool. Good. Well, I just want to do a quick plug before you and I depart. My next live Facebook interview is going to be on April 17th, and it's going to be all Excel, nothing but Excel. So if you coach Excel, you're a judge that judges Excel, and you have an Excel question that you can't get answered for whatever reason, or you're afraid to ask, go ahead and email gymblogcentral@hotmail.com by Friday, please, because I threw questions out to Cheryl that I just got this weekend, and she was gracious enough to do that. But I don't want to do that to Claudia. But and Claudia, I'm gonna butcher your last name, and I had Cheryl practice with me before we started this interview. But Claudia Kretschmer is the national committee chair for the Excel program of USA Gymnastics, and she has graciously accepted an invite to do a live Facebook interview like we just did with Cheryl. And Claudia will be going through all the Excel questions that you have submitted to me and answering them just like we did tonight. And we had a bunch of Excel questions come up this past weekend. which I might actually email Claudia about, because we have our Excel state meet coming up in 2 weeks, and we're kind of hoping to get some questions answered before our state meet. So keep an eye out for Claudia and I to do our Facebook interview on April 17th at 8 p.m. And Cheryl Hamilton, you are amazing. As a judge, I want to be you. I want to coach the Olympics. I just want your knowledge and your experience. And thank you so much. Stay warm, because I know it's still cold up by you.
Yeah.
And I might
thank
actually,
you.
yeah,
Thank
no,
you.
it was a pleasure. It was a pleasure. And I'm going to actually probably give you a call tomorrow, because I just want your address. I want to send you a little something special for doing this, because as I said, I totally appreciate it. And thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, we'll talk to everybody later. Bye.
Bye.